Good morning and welcome again to yet another press briefing as we move along with this restoration and rebuilding of our lovely Dominica. We give you daily updates as to what's happening, and today I have a few updates from the various utility companies and others which I'll read to you. They couldn't be here themselves. Of course, in this rebuilding effort, it is difficult just to come just for a few minutes because they need all the minutes that they can get. Now, I also must welcome the radio stations, DBS Radio, Kyrie FM, and Vibes Radio. Let me also welcome some members, some visitors here who have come to assist us. Mr. Ken Weber is a Scientology volunteer minister, and Mr. Brent Hector, who may not be here right now. Oh, he is. He's just come in. He was stuck in traffic for a while. That's why I said that. But he's here now. And Mr. Brent Hector is of ITNAC, which stands for Is There Not a Cause? We'll know more about that as we go along. My name is Dennis Joseph. Let me read to you first a notice from the police. New traffic arrangement for vehicular traffic entering the city from the north and south from 6 a.m. on Tuesday, October 10th, as of course was yesterday. Motorists entering the city from the north on approaching the area of Lyndhurst Funeral Home will be channeled through 2 lanes to enter the city and 1 lane to exit. A checkpoint will be in place at that location, manned by police officers. One of the 2 lanes designated for entry into the city will be for emergency vehicles, essential workers, government officials, and other accredited persons. Access will only be provided on a needs basis through the secondary entry lane. Parking for motorists entering the city from the north will be provided at the Canefield playing field. Public transportation will be available on site. Motorists who are denied access through the checkpoint will be directed back to the Canefield playing field parking area. Persons who are granted access through the checkpoint parking will be provided, will be provided at the Lindo Park in Goodwill. Motorists entering the city from the south on approaching DBS Radio, they will be diverted onto High Street through the Botanic Gardens and onto the Link Road to exit the city. Only emergency vehicles, essential workers, government officials, and other accredited persons will be allowed to continue north along Victoria Street. For those motorists who wish to do business in the city, parking will be provided at the Newtown, Savannah, and the Botanic Gardens. Security will be provided at the various parking locations. And the police are soliciting the support of the general public in the quest to reduce vehicular traffic in the city so that the cleanup process can be expedited and the utility services can do their work unobstructed, so that the city can realize some level of normalcy. That's a notice from the police concerning vehicular traffic. We all know that we get backed up for a very long time, sometimes 2 hours just to get from 2 miles, because everybody wants to get into the city. But this is to try to regulate this and make it easier so that Mr. Brent Hector will not get stuck anymore and people like that in the city. I have some other notices. And as I said, the persons involved cannot be here, but they certainly have given me the information to pass on to you. And first of all, from DOMLEC, that is the Electricity Services of Dominica, and they're saying here that new areas were powered up rather today, which was the 9th of October, a couple of days ago. Additional areas were powered up in Rosal. Areas like First Caribbean International Bank, Flow, Flow, the cell phone company. Marpin 2K4 Limited, the TV company. Sections of Kennedy Avenue from Bath Road to Great George Street. Sections of King George V Street from the Old Market to Cross Street. Sections of Long Lane from the Old Market to Cox Street. And sections of Hanover Street from the Old Market to Cox Street. Now the areas to be powered up later, that was Monday, so they should be powered up by now. But I'm reading this as it's given to me. The areas to be powered up: Phone Shack, Alex Boyd Knight's law firm, the Welfare Division, and the Parliament Building. And during this week, Dominic says that they will continue to work on restoration in Roseau, and the focus will be on Turkey Lane and Independence Street from Turkey Lane to Bath Road. They wish to remind persons to refrain from piling debris, dirt, galvanized and so on at the base of the poles. It makes it difficult for the workmen to get on the poles. Businesses and homeowners whose structures were compromised should commence the process of recertification. That's Domlek. Now there's Dawasco. Dawasco is a water company. Of course, you have been drinking bottled water, but we're also known as the Isle of Water. Except that there's water. For a while there was water everywhere, another drop to drink. But we're coming on. And water has been restored. That's the update of today, October 11th, to the city of Roseau. Foncole Industrial Estate, Newtown, parts of Kings Hill, Maho, parts of Canefield, parts of Goodwill, Bath Estate, Tarish Pit, Roseau Valley, Loda, Cochrane, parts of Copthall, Viecas, Penville, between Siniku and Salibia, Calibishi, Mont John, Week, Castle Bruce, Grand Fond, Salisbury, Portsmouth, Cottage, Tukari, part of Grand Bay, section of Point Michel, and Loubier. Working hard, Domlek says, to restore to other areas. Updates will follow, and they of course are asking people to conserve the water and not to use it just for lawns, washing vehicles, and things like that. That's the Domlek, that's the Dawasco update. Dawasco, for those who wonder, stands for Dominica, Water and Sewage, I think. But it's all about water. And there's an update from the First Caribbean International Bank as of today. The hours of operation, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Automated banking machines are operational 24/7 and a full suite of services available. Then there's DASPA, that's the Port Authority. Seaborn came to Dominica on Tuesday. That is an update, of course. Seaborn came to Dominica on Tuesday to conduct an assessment, and they're expecting a flight with passengers to arrive today from San Juan, Puerto Rico. That is this afternoon, actually. And they're working on the ferry terminal to have operations shifted from Woodbridge Bay back to ferry terminal, and they aim to complete that for this weekend. One more thing. An update from the Public Works as it relates to access. Vehicular access has been restored in all areas except villages beyond Geneva Bridge, that is Toul, Font-Saint-Jean and Bagatelle. I just have to read this again, it's very short, so I think I should just do it again. Vehicular access has been restored in all areas except villages beyond Geneva Bridge, that is the south of the island, that is Toul, Font-Saint-Jean and Bagatelle. These are the updates, and I'm sure we all listen attentively. People want water and electricity restored to their homes as soon as possible. That is not going to be entirely possible with electricity because there has to be retesting of those homes. The wires have been flung all over the place. Bulbs are where bulbs shouldn't be, and all things like that. You know the drill. We have to do it all over again. So don't just sit back and think, okay, we're going to get electricity tomorrow. You've got to get your house retested. And I think you do that down on in the other building. That's the government headquarters building, which is across the road from here. I think on the first floor there is the electricity people, those who do the testing, and you got to go in there and see if they can come across and test your lights, your electricity, your home conditions, so that they can advise Dominica to get into your home and get you lighted up. Now, as I said before, we do have with us from the Church of Scientology, if I'm correct. Yes, I am. Sure, a lot of you must have heard about it. It's on the news every now and then. And we have the Scientology volunteer minister, Mr. Ken Weber. He's here. And certainly would like to hear a few words from him. Mr. Ken Weber, the mic is yours.
Okay. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, listeners. As Mr. Joseph said, I'm here representing the Scientology volunteer ministers. This organization is supported by the International Association of Scientologists disaster relief efforts. And the volunteer ministers respond to disasters all over the world. It's all four corners, no matter what, no matter when, we're always ready to respond. And it's also a little more personal here. At my full-time job, when I'm not a volunteer, is I'm the port captain on the Freewinds cruise ship. The Freewinds cruise ship has its home in Curacao. It sails throughout the Caribbean and first called to the island of Dominica in 1991. So this is not just another disaster relief spot. This is something that's very personal to me. And it's very personal to the crew of the Freewinds and the passengers that have visited this beautiful island over the years. And our first visit here was in 1991 when the Freewinds called to the Cabritz at Portsmouth, the first cruise ship to call there. So we have quite a history here on the island. So, in fact, before I came to Dominica with the volunteer ministers, I was on St. Martin doing disaster relief. And that was brought about by a request of the Prime Minister of Curacao, again, the home port of the Freewinds, where the Prime Minister asked us to assist with evacuating 300 people from the island, as well as disaster relief. He wanted us to take the Freewinds there, which was not practical. However, we worked with the local airline, Insul Air, and got out the 300 people. And I led a 21-man relief team, and we were in the neighborhoods doing disaster relief there. And it was then, when Hurricane Maria came through Dominica, we actually cut our stay short in St. Martin to come here to assist. My first team arrived here on the 24th of October. It was a team of, I think it was 16 people, 3 Scientology volunteer ministers, and 13 personnel from a disaster relief organization from Colombia called CINAT, C-I-N-A-T. That's a disaster relief organization, again, that works around the world. They're skilled professionals. They have EMTs, they have civil engineers, whatever. And when we first got here, we managed to team up with the fire department and with the CNET people. They went out to the outer villages to do assessment of the damage done, what needs to be fixed, what's the status of the personnel. And those people being EMTs provided medical assistance when needed. And then as the CNET team started to withdraw, we brought more Scientology volunteer ministers in. And I had a team of 17 volunteer ministers here. And since then, we've been doing different projects. We've helped clean up St. Mary's Girls' School, where we cleaned up, put on tarps on the roof. For the past several days, we've been up in Font-Collet doing cleanup, and again, helping where we can, put tarps on roofs. That came about, we somehow met up with the mayor of Roseau, Mrs. Irene John, and she helped introduce us to some people and provided us with some transportation to truck the waste, the galvanized and the old lumber out of the neighborhoods so we could have some room to work, and that's ongoing. We also brought in our first container of relief supplies last week. On that container we had 1,000 tarps, and also 10 pallets of fresh water, 4 chainsaws, and some hygiene kits to spread around the island. And of course that went to great use. I also have now 5 containers waiting to arrive. The ship was due in yesterday. It's just delayed because of the congestion in the port. There's a lot of materials coming in. And that ship should be here Friday or Saturday. I have 5 containers on that vessel. On board there are 3 containers of fresh water and 2 containers of general supplies that include 6 more chainsaws, baby food, baby supplies, canned food, oatmeal, bleach, soaps, some basics for the island that are very much needed. And as we continue to work here, we're making progress. There, as anyone knows, here on the island, or if you've seen any of the footage, there's a lot of work to be done, and we're very happy to be helping. And I couldn't think of a better job to be doing right now. And I want to thank the Prime Minister's office, the Prime Minister, Mr. Roosevelt Skerritt, and his office for actually inviting the Scientology volunteer ministers to the island to help out. And it's more than our pleasure to be here, like I said, and we'll continue to work. And anything we can do to help the island of Dominica, just ask, and we'll see what we can do to fulfill the request. So thank you for the time, and I appreciate being here.
Thank you very much, Ken Weber. Your help is greatly appreciated. As you can see, we need it. We're hit by a storm, 165 miles per hour winds. I say it and I can't believe it, how we even survived, but we did. And we need the help of everybody. And we do hope the help is not only going to be for just now, but continuing as much as you can. I understand that you'll have other things to do as you go along. But we do hope you keep us in mind so that we can get as much assistance going forward, assistance we need. We have another speaker. Fortunately for me, so I don't have to speak all the time. He represents ITNAC, ITNAC, which stands for, Is There Not a Cause? Is that a question? He will tell us all about it as he comes to the microphone, Mr. Brent Hector.
Hi, good morning, Dominica and those listening. Again, thank you for having us to attend your briefing. My name is Brent Hector, and from a group, Is There Not a Cause? In case you're wondering where the name came up from, 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 29. David went down to the camp while Goliath was there, and part of his motivation, he said to the men, is there not a cause? Yes, there is. So our name is also a champion call. So, okay, right, and so we have been in existence for 15 years thereabout, and we do relief work as well as support work beyond the relief in up and down the Caribbean, Kenya. We have a large mission output in Haiti. We have been this is our second trip to Dominica. We were here for Erica as well. Coincidentally, my mom came across here for David with her church group to do relief work back then. So it's a history of, and my sister founded this group after Hector Joseph. She's back in Trinidad. So I've been in Dominica. Friday will be 3 weeks. Yes, 3 weeks. So that I may need Mr. Joseph help and giving us a quick rundown on some of the areas that we have visited. So if I mispronounce the names, it's because not out of disrespect. I'm learning the pronunciation. But I was doing a summary up yesterday, and we have coordinated a large number of delivery into Dominica that we've given directly to the government through corporate Trinidad and Tobago and through sponsorship and through our honorary councillor, Francis Emmanuel. But directly I've coordinated, we are here and we're doing food and supplies relief as well as medical relief, right? So we have been quote unquote accredited by the Ministry of Health. We are running a clinic at the Goodwood Parish. Within the first week we saw about 375 patients. Now we are presently working with the Ministry of Health, assisting them in their outreach clinics as they seek to get their health centers back up. But in addition to that, from a medical standpoint, we have we go out and we have visited the shelters and some communities, working within the framework that the government has set out, which is work with the village council or the urban councils, right? As we have been primarily within the west. We have made some penetration into the east because telecommunication and transportation for us is a challenge. But as we continue to make contact with the government, and they have been willing and able to assist in help to facilitate, so we create that bond. But some of the areas we have visited is well over 24 areas that we have supplied with canned goods, toiletries and hygiene packs, baby supplies where needed, all right, and conducted mobile clinics, as well as, of course, giving water. Okay, several pallets of water came in. In all, we have distributed around 64 to 65 pallets of supplies and clothing. We didn't bring much clothing in at first because we were concentrating on getting the food items in. We have presently about 50-something pallets. I think it's about 62 thereabouts. I can't remember the exact figure. 29 of which is food and supplies. 30 pallets of water that came up on the barge from Trinidad. So once the barge should be unstuffed later today, we will be going to the areas that we have made contact with exactly. So some of the areas we have done in the west, while we worked with the disaster coordinator, we have to thank Tasha Felix and also Mr. Steve Joseph for the west. Seeking a reach out for the other area and district development officers, because that's the model that we got from the EOC. So we're working with that model. The same way we do the health centers and the clinics, we work with the DMO and the Ministry of Health and the Health EOC. So we have conducted, at first we delivered all this stuff to the shelters. So Canefield Gospel Mission, where we delivered water, food supplies, hygiene supplies, as well as conducted mobile clinics. So in all of these places I'm going to call, we delivered food stuff, and apart from the 350 we saw in the first week, our doctors and nurses would have treated, we had 7 doctors and nurses in and off the island since, and 4 nurses. We would have treated about 660 persons and dispensed medication that has been approved by the chief pharmacist. Okay, so we're working with the authorities on, so Canefield, we're actually going to do our next outreach in Canefield. So we have Canefield Gospel Mission, Maho Gospel Tabernacle, Maho Government Primary School, Maho Marine Church, Layu Christian Union Church, St. Joseph, we did the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School. That's a pretty large. We had Caleb, Laurent, Lua Government Primary School, First Grade Baptist Church, Salisbury Gospel Hall. We did thing in Point Michelle, Roosevelt Douglas Primary School in Portsmouth. That's a pretty large shelter that we need to revisit. Also, another next initiative that we are working on. Vikash, Biosh, Cario, Mio, La Plaine, Rosalie, Delis, Botica, Monrachet. We did individual stuff through one of our partners and community person that we managed, that we had a link with. We were able to give out 88 in the first day, 188 individual hampers, right? Because she is from the area, and an additional 80 children hampers. We also work, because we were kindly taken in by the parish hall at Goodwill, where we are based. So we both have the clinic, and that's where we reside, because I came to Dominica not knowing where to go, but we knew that, of course, ship stuff came, and we have also given the parish hall, we have shipped stuff directly to Father Charles Martin, because they have well, it now became official, but they have an unofficial shelter at the bottom of the parish hall. And of course, the church is a distributing center. Whether it's official or not, churches always distribute. So we have supplied and will continue to supply and work with that parish hall as supplies coming in with water and canned food stuff. Our canned box would have anything, depending on the size, between 40 to 80 different variant cans. So based on the size of the shelter or the community, we give 1, 2 or 3 boxes. We are not as sophisticated to have our boxes branded, whatever empty box, but based on the size, we give that. We give a box of dry goods. For the those of the shelters listening, we promise dry goods. We have some rice and flour that is on the badge, so that we have made, so a couple shelters we have visited at least twice, okay, as we continue on the west coast, right? But we have made some entrance into the east. As we get our transport and the road is clear, We are negotiating if anybody wants to help us with transport. That would be lovely. That we can make contact because there's no telephone contact. So we now have to go in. And it makes no sense going in empty-handed. We want to go in with stuff. So I've been coordinating through and following up with the emails what other NGOs may have gone into the areas, and with the village or urban council persons, right? So we work with that model. That model seems to have been working. And so as we have that 29 pallets of food and that 30 pallets of water and even some building supplies, which gets me to the next point, is, oh yeah, we actually been to Mount John too as well, right? And if you notice, we're in our SOS attitude, we have been supported heavily by the Trinidad and Tobago Armed Forces military. The Coast Guard has been transporting stuff, not only for us, but for several of the NGOs on their vessels. The Coast Guard have been making at least 2 trips a week, long trips a week. The people of Trinidad and Tobago have to give a special thank you to corporate Trinidad and civil society in Trinidad and Tobago. At one point, we had to get access to the next property to sort stuff in Trinidad, because ITNAC has been blessed and fortunate that people trust us, so they've been giving a lot of stuff to us to sort, so stuff is coming up. And we have stuff in the badge, and we have some other stuff coming up. So what has happened is that as we continue to go forward, the Trinidad and Tobago regiment who's up here, the battalion, they've been assisting with rebuilding the hospital, the port, they're assisting with the ferry terminal, the work that's going on the ferry terminal is the Trinidad and Tobago regiment, and they have continued to support us. We work with them in locating Trinidad nationals. What is also good now is that as we go into the areas, we want to do more. So we have seen that there's a need for housing, and persons, we are concerned we are among the tarpaulin and stuff that's given out and persons not putting them up. So we recognize we have joined the shelter cluster, and I've gotten the assurance from the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment contingency that they are willing to lend their expertise to assist in any way, but in particular with respect to aiding persons and rebuilding and setting up the tarpaulins. So in the cluster, we would work with Red Cross and shelter box, etc., as we go forward, and see how best we can go into areas as we already made contacts and with their model, and see how we can assist those organizations that have donated the tarpaulins and would be donating building supplies, help residents to put this stuff on so that persons can get back. We really want to get Dominicans back to a sense of normalcy. It's a long way ahead, but I understand the objective of the government of Dominica is to get back school in place, which means we need to get persons out to the schools that are shelters into some form of housing so that the repairs can be done in the schools so that schools can resume, right? So even though we came to do shelter, not necessarily shelter work, we've been doing a lot of relief and medical supplies and medical clinics. We found that as we have been partnering with the Trinidad and Tobago Armed Forces, that they've shown a willingness that they can lend the help, so we are now working with them. So that, and again, we want to thank the Dominican government as well, as we continue to work with them. They're going to say, hopefully we can get a partnership greater. As I said, we are limited a bit by our ability for transport and logistics, but I guess going forward, I'm positive that we can get some assistance as that goes, because we have that 29, and we probably have about 20 more pilots coming off the Coast Guard boat, right? And our objective is not to store. We can do with some storage space. If you have a secure storage space, I'm throwing that out there, right? But I wanted to do distribution as fast as possible by making contact with the council chairpersons and the district development officers. So if you are listening, they can call me 615-2711. That's my Dominican number, right? If I'm not, someone would answer. 615-2711. You can make contact so we can come in there, do an assessment, and bring much needed aid. So we can investigate to make sure there's equity in distribution, okay? So that we are not just running about, let me say that clear, we are not just running about without direction or aim. We have a directive, and this is the model that we use. And as we continue, communication was a challenge. So that's why we have made contact with certain villages. We are focusing on the west, because that's who we had access to. And for those who had access to the east and to the south, we did. So we are guaranteeing people to the east and further south that we will be coming there, right? Just had to make the contact. And is there not a cause? ITNAC is committed not only for the short term, but we continue to, as much as people continue to donate in Trinidad, we shall continue to assist in whatever possible way. I said I'm here 3 weeks. I am scheduled to go home on Friday. I have to go and say goodbye to a homegoing ceremony, but I should try and get back up here by Monday, Tuesday. I'll leave a couple of persons here because we recognize we have a bunch of stuff to deliver. There's a lot of work to be done. Okay? There's a lot of work, and again, I have to leave here and go to the port to get our goods and see how best I can distribute stuff as fast as possible. And again, I want to thank the Dominican people. I think I want to say God bless them. They have shown me. I want to thank the Trinidad and Tobago people for them to continue to give. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And at Dominica, we are here and we are helping, along with many other NGOs and international. Is there not, of course, the only one from Trinidad? The Muslim Society, there are a lot of other institutions that are sending stuff. But I'm speaking from where we at. So we hope to distribute that other 60 pallets, 60, 70 plus pallets of goods within the shortest period of time. So as more stuff come, we can continue to work. Okay, so I just want to say thank you again for having us and have a good day.
Just a question. When you speak of building supplies, do you mean only taps?
No, we brought, sorry. What we brought up actually on this badge, and not only us, the other institute, I think the Muslim Society of Trinidad and Tobago, I hope they get the name correctly. There are 50 pallets of blocks, and a large number of galvanized sheetings to cover the roof, and roof sheetings, as well as some plywoods and stuff like that. At the shelter cluster, right now there's a huge demand and focus on getting the tarpaulins up. That's why the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment has offered to help implement that, because the number of tarps that have been recorded landing in Dominica and distributed isn't reflected by the number of tarps that are covered. And we know that it's just not giving a tarp, it's about it. We need to put some rafters on and actually have able-bodied people to go up and put it. But the building supplies came up because it was donated, we didn't have a place to store it. We have to get it up here, and we're assuming it's time to rebuild. So maybe as we go forward as a regiment and the other shelter cluster identify homes that they might, instead of putting a tab, they may actually go up and see how best they could put the sheeting on and make one trip up the ladder as it may be, right? So that again, we're working with the shelter cluster group. We joined it yesterday to officially say that how best as we make, as I see, our job is, our model is we go in and make contact with any community come up, which is a good model. We have found that your urban village council model has worked fine. We found that there's cooperation, there's some good authority there, and we feel good when we go to these places. As with the shelter managers have been phenomenal. We have found that when we give there, we observe how it's distributed, etc. So we feel confident that we don't need to worry about the individual houses, etc. They seem well enough equipped to do that, and we took that model to the cluster and said we probably need to get more, leave the rebuilding part, involve the people at the community level more at the building part. So why reinvent the wheel? As we made contact, whatever we can do with respect to share contacts and have the community in whatever way, we will continue to work with whatever agencies, governmental, international, as we see fit, and that's that. Any other questions? That's good. Okay then. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, and I expect, because so many roofs have disappeared, talk of galvanized and blocks and things that will assist in getting people back inside their homes. Some are not able to go in. They have no roof. They can't sleep out. They can't sleep. They can sleep in the rain. And that kind of talk is very, very useful and very, very welcome. Well, we have another update, I hope, on electricity and water and so on coming up in the near future, because everybody's anxious about that. We also have to learn a bit of patience. And just before I end this, just a little story. I always like little stories of a lady who probably about 60 years old, a little older, tried to help her. Her house had been smashed. And there she was searching through all the debris, through all the mess. And her face was stern and like sorrowful looking. And she picked up cups and cutlery and all sorts of things, and nothing changed. Her face remained the same. And then her face lit up. She saw what she was looking for. It wasn't gold or money or jewelry. It was a letter that she had received from her son quite a number of years ago. And she kept this because of what it said in a very secure place, she thought. And then the hurricane came. But it's amazing that that is what lit her face up. Not all the other things she found, but with a letter from her son. These are the amazing little stories you have when a disaster strikes. And we have a lot of them, and from time to time as I come here, I will repeat them so that the public can have hope and understand it's not a big thing to get you excited, just the little things. So all those who have been listening today, thank you for listening on Facebook, on YouTube, on the radio stations, and have a good day. Thank you.